Sorry if I am today a little bit low on energy, but... Hey, he's gone. Where is he gone? On Ferris? Wait, what? Darian Bosch. Okay.
No, we're too late. Look for Baird.
Captain, a word?
What now?
You came to the Deadfire for your own reasons. The problems of others, they must be noisy obstacles by comparison. We both know the burden of being looked to as a source of hope. What say?
It isn't a problem until the gods start making demands.
And you wish for a moment of silence to dampen the rabble.
Letting out a sigh and planting his hands on his hips, Takeru grins with deep satisfaction. He locks his eyes with yours and makes no move to break the contact. You look like you want to get something off your chest.
Ikera, just so. All the powers of the Deadfire have their eyes on the Watcher of Cadnua. Tell me, is the Watcher watching anyone?
He tips his head coyly to the side, letting his hair drape down with a moist squish. Just you, my little pretty fish.
For once, Ngati answers my prayers. Captain, I would speak plainly. Are you as excited by the possible? What I mean is, if we were to...
Takeru clears his throat and studies you, his eyes wide and imploring. Let's say I'm intrigued. Speak on.
If such things interest you, my last haphazard coupling was not so long ago. In Nekataka, in fact.
Sounds like you have a story to tell.
Ikera, I am the hope and destiny of my people. My heart is full of stories. She was a godlike, one of Amira's brood. Her hair is neat and orderly as a raven's wing.
Takeru reaches into his pack and pulls out a black feather. He draws his fingers down to the fibers, smiling in remembrance. Pelagina grimaces and involuntarily shudders, her feather standing on end. One falls from her head and she desperately snatches it from the air before Takeru sees it.
We found each other in the market and made ourselves comfortable behind a fishmonger's stall. She left me this as a keepsake. I never knew her name. Now I do not have to suffer the pangs of forgetting it.
Sighing, he lets the feather fall from his hands. A light breeze carries it away. Don't you want to keep that?
Most desperately. But I do not cage love or force it to be anything but itself. A bird fluttered away. She was not mine to keep.
That was some fast seduction on your part.
Well, it helps when both parties are beautiful, full of desire, and have no afternoon plans. I was expected at the guild hall, but one must have their priorities.
If you're trying to charm me, talking about past lovers is a very strange way to do it.
Charm? Oh, not so, Captain. I would have you know me by my impulses, my desires. These are Takehu as much as the living god.
Just let's be off so I can let that story play out in my head some more.
As you say, Captain. I do not want you to misunderstand. I am a sea anemone, hungry and eager to close around stimulation. I would draw you in with care, with patience.
He raises his brow and studies you, looking for a reaction. Are you saying there's a mouth somewhere on the back of your head?
I know of one way to find out.
He looks you up and down, fondling his chin and clearly appreciating what he sees.
We could blunt our teeth on more idle chatter, but I cherish the suspense. Come.
He tips his head to indicate the path before you. As the Kehu finishes speaking, his words slow to a crawl. The sensation of sinking into a pool of water begins to overtake you.
I want better for him than you.
Gaddy's great, bulbous eyes narrow to pinpricks. More is left unspoken, but you feel your lungs constrict as salt water fills your nose. The world once again reasserts itself, the sensation of moisture and depth pulling away with some resistance. The Kehu fans his head over his mouth and yawns. Let's be off.
Captain, what has been your most impressive feat of seduction?
Do you really think this is the proper time to discuss such things? We are on the dead ship. Read the room. But I will humor you. The Kehu's brow rises. His face betrays no emotion but intense focus. Well, I once caught the eye of this marine godlike.
Flatterer. I once bedded a Rawatayan admiral without exchanging a word.
I do not understand this conversation at all. Do you talk about anything other than sex?
Kara, there are other topics?
Yes.
I say that sex is useful for clarifying my intentions.
I'm gonna be drowned. By Ondra.
One of the Hazanui passed through Nekitaka on a diplomatic mission. She insisted on visiting the Water Shapers Guild. Surveying the competition, I say. Myru paraded me before her, thinking I alone could intimidate Rawatai's fleet. Gods, Captain. Her muscles had muscles. She had all the delicacy and grace of a clenched fist. I wanted a taste of this power. She mentioned offhandedly that her ship needed repairs before the return voyage. I say you can imagine what happened next.
Her ship got repaired?
Eventually. I heard that she spent her evenings in the officers' lounge, strategizing over drinks. I covered my magnificence under a peasant's cloak and made for the brass citadel. The guards at the lounge would not grant me entry at first. Not until I explained that I was the evening's entertainment.
Don't stop there now. Finish the story.
So eager, I say. Naturally, my story checked out when they realized I was nude under the cloak.
Hey. I cannot comprehend this conversation at all.
I presented myself before the stunned officers. The Hazanui wore an expectant smile. Winking at her, I mounted one of the map tables and gyrated to some of Rawatai's bawdiest sea shanties. When enough was enough, the Hazanui signaled for everyone to clear the room, and the war games began.
How would it go?
She bade me lay down on the map. Once I was situated, she chided me for leaving my borders unprotected. Naughty boy that I am. Her armada sailed against my island with a heavy assault. She bellowed the most vile and depraved orders. In the end, I stole back the advantage, firing a cannon across her port side and leaving the magnificent vessel crippled in the water.
As your captain, I'm intrigued.
Ours was a battle of endurance, not tactics, but I cherished winning a victory for the Juana. If
we are done with the tales, Let's be done with the tales.
You know that fervor is a quality I cherish. But let us wait for a time. Prolong our delights, Akira.
Andra is gonna drown me. Can I investigate the bodies, please? Thank you. Can I walk toward the bodies? Thank you.
You have only delayed your death.
See him? This is him. He's gone.
Edward cries out, frustrated, raw. He puts a hand to his face and looks down into it, shaking his head.
What was this?
He was a victim of a madman.
A madman who might really have had a vision from his god. We're all so trusting. Our gods don't deserve it.
Eder kneels next to Baron. He puts his hand on the boy's shoulder. After a moment, he rises.
We should go.
My scouts tell me that you sail from Oriokoiki. Do the Wahaki pay the crown obeisance in whatever eccentric form suits them?
You can look forward to Wahaki support when the need arises.
You have united the Huana with our missing limb. The Huana are strong, but our foes are stronger, richer, more relentless still. I say that the gods have delivered us an advantage we sorely need. You may not believe this, but I had plans for Rawatai's powder house. The gods work through your hands, I say. Wodika brings justice, and Ngati brings trouble. Rawatai will aim their cannons at your ship first, I think. If nothing else, you will draw enemy fire on the voyage to Ukaizo. I only hope that we have not cut the head off one enemy at the cost of strengthening the other. Finally, we can turn our attention to securing the last frontier of the Deadfire.
Unakaza folds her hands in a calm and composed manner, though laces her fingers tightly.
Ukaizo looms on the horizon, bringing the past with the future. Together, we will show the Huana how to cross it. I have always known that Ukaizo was no myth. But I did not expect an outsider to show us the way. Nagati makes fools of us all. Take the helm of your ship, Captain. My fleet will follow and water shapers will clear the way through Andra's mortar. And the enemy's fleet, if it comes to that.
Unakaza narrows her eyes on the horizon and nods to herself.
May Amira's feather grant you favorable wind, and may Tangaloa open its jaws to our enemies.
She covers her heart with one hand and touches her forehead with the other. Travel to Kaizo is the only thing left. Not here, I think. Oh no. Peligina me re frerma guone tu frerma me kang suolias to the water of Kednua, lately of Neketaka. I regret to inform you that due to your recent hostile actions toward the Valen Trading Company, I am obligated to return to my superiors and give them a full accounting of our time together. I will not be returning. If you have any concerns or complaints about my service, please direct them to the Deuces Pirento. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Tekeho? I mean, why not? Might as well. So what do we do? There is plenty of ocean to sail and many lands to explore, but what lies ahead of you dwarfs them all. Should you choose to sail on, you suspect there will be no return. Not to the Deadfire you have come to know. You set a course through a channel and into uncharted, turbulent seas. Ondra's mortar rages on the horizon, a vast wall of roiling clouds and rain, punctuated by the silver flicker of lightning. The wind pushes against you, as if to ward whatever lies beyond from Von Ferro's approach. Von Ferros leads the fleet, crashing through the turbulent waters like an axe through armor. gods alive, Beetle mutters, starting up at the storm. Copperhead blinks at the blackening sky. You and old Saltmos who claimed the mortar were the edge of the world. I called him a fool. Now, though? The Navigator shakes his head sadly. Now I ain't so certain. Head bowed slightly, Eld Angrim smiles. Today is as good a day as any to learn what the gods have in store for us. Shit, Captain! Hostile vessels inbound to forward port! With the shake of the head, Beadle emits a grim chuckle. Suppose it would be too much to ask to be let alone out here. The inverted crown flies atop the masts of the motley Principe fleet, along with a dozen other pennants and colors representing a dozen different pirate lords and ladies. Their shanties are audible even against the storm. The approaching fleet numbers at least as many ships as your own, and maybe more. Beadle frowns against the wind. The fleet's turning, Captain, setting their gun ports against the enemy. The hands look to you from their stations. Beadle's eyes hold yours. The crew stands ready. What are the captain's orders? The patchwork pirate fleet charges aggressively towards you. Its ships a ragtag menagerie of flashy galleons and sleek dhows, stolen junks and mercenary sloops. You think you count 30 vessels, give or take. Prince Arui, his personal ship, leads the vanguard of the Juana fleet, flanked by a dozen voyagers and backed by another half-dozen ships of varied make. Tribal banners dance about the vessels, and each pontoon bears painted designs unique to its crew. Archers and sharpshooters stand at the rails, and roped water shapers crown each ship's bow, their ritualized movements smoothing the sea before the fleet. The persistent heartbeat of drums rise from the voyagers, and 100 voices chant your name. Evna, Evna, Evna. Wahaki war canoes churn the water among the voyagers, each craft crowded with face-painted warriors singing against the storm. Let them fight it out. Take us into the storm, Landreth. The deck presses against your feet as Funferus comes about, the thunder of cannon fire vying with a thunder continuously rolling from the mortar. Your ship straightens, the bow pointed directly into the storm. You lurch forward as the deck pitches violently. You grab the aft rail to keep from going overboard. Beneath you, just below the surface of the water, swims some immense creature. It moves towards the battle, the water curling back like parted skin on either side of the beast to reveal a monstrosity not of flesh, but of sleek adra and gleaming metal. The surface of the water bulges, then bursts, and with a roar like the crash of the surf, a dragon explodes from the water. The familiar scaled form of Scurielapas seeps low, wings outstretched just above the white tip of the waves, before spraying its briny breath over the metallic monster. The monstrosity turns on the sea dragon, and they slam into one another, tearing at each other with tooth and fang. Essence pours off of the pair as they pound one another with their abilities at point blank. Copperhead gapes. Sweet, merciful Ondra, I was not expecting that. Messed that bastard up good. Do you see that? We've got a goddamn dragon. Go, now, while I hold the attention of these beings. Scurlepa's voice echoes among your thoughts. Our depths are clear, the water. Captain, we might not get another chance. Beadle looks at you. Cut the chatter. All hands, brace for the storm. Aye, aye, Captain. All hands to stations and keep your eyes to your work. We're going in. Ondra's mortar looms before and above you, dominating the whole of the world. Rain begins to fall. The storms of Ondra's mortar encompass the visible horizon. Hurricane winds roar like an imprisoned beast, blowing with enough force to warp the very seas. Past the curtain of rain and above the swell of waves, you can just barely perceive the outline of colossal Atra pillars. Deep in concentration, the water shapers at the prow of your ship mirror a complex series of stances. Prayers to Ngati begin as whispers and rise into songs bellowed in a unified voice, matching the intensity of the storm. The sea responds with hesitation, sending up the occasional splash of water in protest. You begin to wonder if your allies are equipped to stand against the relentless fury of Ondra's mortar. And then the very storm yields their will. Wave after wave rises and swells into an amused shape. First a wall, and then an arch, forming a perfect curve that projects deeper into the storm. One of the water shapers sends up a call. The others make a finishing gesture in a single fluid motion, clapping their hands and extending their palms, solidifying their war. The tunnel remains intact. Your allies send up a congratulatory cheer as your ship crosses under the canopy of the sea. They fall silent as a distant shape stands out on the horizon, and you pause to appreciate it in turn, a sight that no mortal has glimpsed in thousands of years. Lost Kaizo. Ornate spires reach up from the island, hinting at the city within. Not all of Kaizo has weathered the millennia of equal grace. Other structures jut and lean out of the surrounding shallows, making the waters around the island impassable by ship. You resolve to take a skiff the rest of the way. And we just made it in early spring, the best time to finish Long Lost Island.
Has it been this way since the age of my ancestors?
As you like.
Erosion has softened the bronze features, giving the proud statue a brooding air. Descending into the city will be suicide while the relentless storm rages on. So the whole island is engulfed in the storm. I thought it was only the sea surrounding it. A furious storm obscures the sprawling city below, but you can make out the shape of distant spires reaching up from the flooded ruins. Spirit winds tug on your soul with insistence, like a stern hand trying to pull a cloak from your back. You recall the last time you encountered a biavag. It feels a lifetime ago. So, here we are. You look to those who accompanied you this far, who risked everything to face the confrontation ahead. How are you feeling about all of this, Eder? Eder's gaze wanders among glinting archways and half-clubbed spires, his mouth agape.
Gilded Vale got its name from the way the wheat fields used to look in the sun. But this place really is gilded. Might as well be a different world.
Miss the simple life?
Well, hard to miss what you can barely remember. All I know is my life took a turn when this world came stomping into mine. These great people got a funny way of passing on. They disappear from the world, but leave their problems behind for the rest of us to deal with.
That's why we're here. We're going to face this. Whatever comes, we're going to see people through.
I guess maybe that's one good thing that's come out of this. Well, at least for me. I got something to do with my life that doesn't involve hauling or shoveling. I even got a friend or two out of it. Whole world's about to face the biggest test it ever saw. What Aethys is doing, it's gonna change everything. We may not survive. Kith, I mean. You know, I broke a wheel once too. First thing I thought of when we learned what Aethys was doing. My mom had this spinning wheel, and she loved it. Well, I was playing with it in the way a young child might when his parents are out, and that wheel came right off. It wouldn't go back into place, so I pushed it harder and harder, and pretty soon I'd broken off a spoke. Broke off 3 more trying to fix that. Anyway, I got whipped pretty good for it. That wheel was never the same, even after my dad fixed it. I used to think of the gods as being like parents to all of us. But now I know better. They're children, playing while their folks are gone.
Indeed. You're looking thoughtful, Alof. Alof looks out at the sprawling ancient city.
5 years ago, you controlled the destiny of thousands of souls in Sun and Shadow. But the choice you make today shall define the fate of every living thing in Aora.
And what do you think I should do?
And to think of all the times I've asked you the same question. You taught me something truly wonderful. That the world will find its own rhythms no matter what I do. That it isn't up to me to discern the right answer to an impossible question. I'd offer you the same peace of mind now. I know you'll choose wisely. And no matter what happens, it's been an honor journeying with you. Again.
He puts his hands on your shoulders, meeting your gaze with a fond smile. Thank you. Here we are, Tekehu. How does it feel?
I am thinking that Aothis has come this far, and he will not wait on you before he finishes what he started. If he shatters what is sat in the heart of Ukaizo, this action will ripple beyond the Deadfire, beyond life as we know it. I will make sure that what we find here goes toward the Huana cause. The Crown's faith in Ngati's chosen will be justified.
He turns to face his surroundings, struggling to take in everything at once.
The land of my mothers, as real as anything that rises up from the bed of the sea. Also, smaller than I expected. This should be as interesting as the last time I confronted a god-possessed Adra Colossus.
You get around, but I know you haven't done this before.
Captain, I am my mother's son. I have seen things you would not believe. What say? Shall we find him, Captain?
Sorry about it. I didn't want to disturb him, and the dog started barking again. So, what comes after this, Reike?
A different storm. A bigger one. I am afraid we will all be swept away.
His usual mischievous and cheerful demeanor evaporates. Angrily, he ties his loose hair into a sloppy bun and plants his hand on his narrow hips.
You do not know Yezua. I hope you do not have to. But I fear that you will.
He stares at you a moment, his brows creased with worry. You can't tell if it's the scar that pulls his lips into grimace or his thoughts. At last, he shakes his head.
What happens after is in God's hands. But now I would stay with you. If you will have me.
I was afraid you would leave.
Oh.
He's stiff at first, uncharacteristically awkward, but when you don't immediately let go, he melts against you, warm and soft and shaking only slightly.
Thank you.
I think we're as ready as we can be. Let's go. Is this it? Is this the machine? Though the device atop the tower spins in wild, blurring revolutions, the air around it is still and calm. You stand in the eye of the storm which has cordoned off Ondra's mortar from the rest of Eora for thousands of years. You see an antiquated control panel, its levers engaged in positions of activation. A deep percussion shakes the tower by its roots. Somewhere in the obscurity of the storm, Iotas rears back his fist to deliver a mighty blow. The control panel has weathered the millennia better than the rest of the city. A layer of dust covers its elegant glass tubes and engraved copper levers, which appear both intact and fully functional. Grip the largest of the levers and bring it up to starting position. The vibration of machinery gradually slows and turbulent winds grow calm.
The machine controlling the storm winds down. The clattering of its machinery settles into a low whir and then, at last, hiccups to a halt. Beyond the tower, the black, roiling clouds of Andra's mortar roll away from the ancient city of Ukaizo, with only a tired sigh of wind to see them off. And on that last breath of wind, comes to you a familiar sound. The ring of a bell.
Bareth.
The bell's ringing is soft, not the clangor and torrent you've grown used to. It calls to your soul, and your soul yearns to follow it. Your soul flees from your body and into the beyond, chasing that sound. It leads you at last to Bareth's realm, to that cold platform and room of endless doors.
Watcher, your journey nears its conclusion.
The pallid night stands before you, her gaunt face impassive.
And what will come after this?
That will depend on the will of Kith, whose desires are ever in flux. Soon you will confront Aethys for what will likely be the final time, and you will do so as the Herald of Bareth, the only creature on the face of Eora to whom he will listen. Remember that.
The pallid night inclines her head to you, black hair hanging lank in her face. She steps back and cedes the floor to Helia with a small, resigned sigh.
If Aethys truly intends to go through with his mad plan to destroy the wheel, a generation's worth of souls will be trapped in the in-between. So many would suffer. How can Aethys be so cruel? He cannot just abandon them. Aethys must help the Kith find a quick solution.
Abaddon strides forward.
Aethys thrust this crisis on the Kith. They did not bring it upon themselves. Their only mistake was entrusting us to watch over them. Who will help them rebuild their world now?
They will manage.
Aethys will reveal every secret of the gods. Will Kith be able to change the established order if they have no wonder to inspire them? Aethys must help them resolve this quickly, lest every one of Eora's few remaining mysteries be laid plain.
It's Aethys' obligation to help us fix what he's about to break.
Coddled children learn nothing that is not spoon-fed to them. With the wheel destroyed, Kith will tear themselves apart. It is the gods' duty to prevent that happening, lest they doom us all. And as Kith must be ruled, so too must the gods. I say that if Aethys is so eager to throw down the mantle of power and step aside, I shall take my rightful place as Queen of the Gods again.
Kith are strongest when they follow our lead, and we are strongest when we lead in turn. United in purpose with the gods, Kith can accomplish things that without us, they could never have even begun. They must be shown their boundaries to surpass them.
Kith will not solve Aethys' puzzle on their own. And without an established order to fight against, the bonds that bind them dissolve, and they fight amongst themselves.
Boudica doesn't want them to solve it. She wants to be queen over you all.
Boudica's firm hand is but the motherly smothering of Helia by another name. Mortals should have no special advantages. Only once Kith have striven to improve themselves through trial will they truly know their measure. Kith must suffer to find their strength if they are to survive the world into which Aethys drags them. Our intervention in your struggle would be a cruelty and counter to our purpose.
He lets his words hang in the air for a moment. Gaze level with your own.
Indeed.
Kith must discover for themselves what it is they are worth, and of what it is they are capable. What we do for them, they do not learn for themselves. Trial breeds ingenuity. If our work of generations was not in vain, Kith will succeed in spite of Aethys' actions. I have faith in Kith's ability to meet Aethys' challenge. Do not mistake my words for indifference, Watcher. They are born from a fierce belief in your potential, not a refutation of it.
One of you has tried to convince me that mortals are destined to fail, but I don't believe it.
And yet you come to Ukaizo with only the Huana at your back. All that Kith stand to lose. And even then, your leaders could not join hands, squabbling instead over prestige and resources. You believe that will change when my final death comes calling? You are a greater fool than I thought. Margaret is blinded by her affection for mortals. She does not see that entropy is the destiny of all things. If Aethys were wise, he would destroy everything. End life, end reincarnation, end death. Kith have had their chance. It is time to let silence reign.
As Rimmergon's words fade, the Pallid Knight returns. She no longer towers over you, a giant even among the gods, but meets you at your height. She lets the arms crossed over her chest fall to her sides. She speaks to you openly, plainly, an expression almost like tenderness, turning up the corners of her lips.
Well, Watcher, you know where we stand. What do you believe?
Everything that's happened, everything that will happen, it's the gods' fault. We are better off without you.
The gods were once Kith, thousands of Kith from long ago, but Kith still. If we are diseased at our core, as you imply, then so too are you. Now the time has come for us to part, Watcher. I laid upon you a difficult duty, and you have discharged it well. You will be free of it in time, but not now. You have work to do yet. You are no stranger to hard choices. You killed Theos, and when his soul was laid bare before you, you chose to destroy his memories. You freed him from his past. Remember the strength it took to make that choice, and know that you alone may sway Aethys now. When you stand before him, choose your words carefully.
She claps her gauntleted hands together, and a sound like thunder rumbles through the room. As the floor crumbles and falls away beneath you, you hear the sound of a single bell ringing, and beneath it, the faintest whisper.
Ever wonder what happened to your old pets, Watcher?
Consciousness returns in a wave as the last of the machine's energy dissipates. The calming of the storm reveals the sprawling city around you like sand wiped from a mosaic. You see the distant outline of Aethys raising his fist in triumph and purpose.
You keep falling asleep on me, I'm gonna have to start walking behind you with a pillow. Oh, by the way, the storm's gone. Also, I think Aethys is ending the world.
Eder takes a long draw from his pipe and nods as he stares at the colossus in the distance.
It seems we're all still here.
Do not touch the machine again, I say. The delicate fish can only take so much.
Peering over the edge of the tower, you make out a distant shape amid the ruins below. A wrecked ship has settled offshore where it lists at a drunken angle, the flag of the Principi drooping from the tilted mast. The empty deck tells that the surviving crew have long since boarded the skiff and rowed to shore, which means you're no longer alone on Ukaizo.
You descend into the ancient winding streets of Ukaizo. Battered by storms for thousands of years, the ruins bear the marks of their role as the lone witnesses of the gods' great secret at the center of the city. The houses and boulevards are pierced by great spears of luminous Audra. There are no ashen bodies, no birds, no sign or sound of any life. But with every step, the rhythmic pounding in the distance draws nearer. Soon, you can feel the vibration traveling up your spine. As you approach the center of the city, the weathered architecture gives way to more luminous Audra, piercing the ruins, eventually overtaking them entirely. Cresting the top of a fallen tower, you finally get a clear view of Aethys. He stands, legs astride, next to a great stone monument ringed with 11 cavernous alcoves. All but 3 hold a gargantuan skeleton, bones scrubbed clean by the city's storms. An immense Anguithan machine floats above the monument, suspended by invisible energy emanating from a well of light beneath it. Great brass rings spin around a core of metal and Audra at the machine's center. Periodically, Aethys's massive arms swing back. The movement alone is enough to draw great gusts of wind toward him. When they come down on the machine, the impacts are accompanied by eruptions of electricity, fire, and smoke. The hundreds of luminous Audra pillars across Ukaizo sympathetically dim in a rippling wave that spreads out from the machine. The only safe route to the god is a steep ascent along a monstrous pillar of luminous Audra. Intertwined with fragments of Ukaizo's ruins that it has carried through the centuries, the pillar bends in a long arc, towering above the machine. The pillar levels out near Aethys's head, a silent observer to the destruction of the machine it has grown beside over thousands of years. You weave your way along a treacherous, rain-slicked path up the pillar's skyward side. As you arrive at the top, you catch Aethys's attention. Fist pulled back, he pauses to observe you. With the same gentleness he showed at Ashen Maw, he lowers his arm and turns toward you.
Strange to see Ukaizo in this way. It may be hard to picture, but this city was once full of life. The Huana, yes, but also kith from many other cultures. Great hanging trees shadowed these boulevards. Gardens sprawled across the open rooftops. Each spring, a festival procession would wind its way from the hillside into this valley. The celebrants would pass through a steep walk among the stalls of foreign merchants, flowers falling upon them from all sides. All people of all nations, together in a celebration of new life. Such was the power and beauty of lost Ukaizo.
Can all of that beauty and life return to this place, Mighty One? Has the future of my people awaited them here?
Lost Ukaizo remains only in name, Tekehu. It is a name as barren as this city. If future generations wish to create life in this place, they must look forward as much as they look back.
This isn't right. You can't put this burden on us. You can't make the gods' problems our problems, our responsibility to fix. How can you have faith that what you're doing is good? You know how many people are going to suffer because of this. No matter how you spin this, you can't set it straight.
Adair, I wish I could explain it to you. It breaks my heart that I cannot. But no matter how much you curse me, do not despair. The souls of this world will need people like you. Lights burning brightly in the darkness to come.
Olaf shakes his head, looking up at Iotas.
What right do you have to do this? Destroy the wheel and leave us with nothing? Without even knowing what will come next?
Aloth, we are all gods and mortals, responsible for our own actions. But inaction carries its own moral responsibility. It is a burden I have carried for far too long. One must always do as their conscience dictates, even if that means abdicating a position of power. But what of you, Watcher? Why have you followed me? Have you come to bear witness to the breaking of the wheel?
Mortals are going to need a head start on things to prevent the gods from re-establishing control. You need to inspire them.
Mortals are already inspired. It is what has pushed them on for hundreds of generations to reach this point in time. Animancy is poised to go far beyond what we Ingwithans ever discovered. Why does Helia think I should lend more power to mortals?
Because I believe in Keith. I believe in our potential to do good in this world.
As do I. From where should mortals draw their inspiration?
They should look to the future. Their imagination and inventive spirit should guide them.
Very well, Watcher. I will ensure that mortals are inspired by my passing, that my power not be expended in vain. Indulge me in a moment's curiosity. There is something I wish to know about Eora, about Kith, that I can only learn through your eyes.
What could I know that you don't?
You followed me all this way, dodging an armada, navigating an impenetrable wall of storms, voyaging across uncharted seas, with the machinations of gods echoing in your ears, all the while trusting in the institutions of Kith to get you this far, and earning their trust in turn. Whatever else happens this day, that much is remarkable. I believe that mortals possess the strength to collaborate and shape a future of their own design. Not all of my brothers and sisters agree. By relying on others and coming together in a time of crisis, you illustrate my point. The gods will witness you and question their assumptions about how responsible, empathetic, and sophisticated mortals can be. What inspired your decision, Watcher? Did the choice echo your foundational beliefs? Or were you influenced by observation?
I wanted to prove Boudica wrong. She thinks mortal cooperation is destined to fail.
Boudica has been especially active since the downfall of her favorite operative. Have you ever considered that she is mentoring his replacement?
That's a troubling thought.
My brothers and sisters never act when the gains are strictly short-term. If Boudica's shadow has fallen upon you, that can only mean she recognizes your potential to further her ambition. I thank you for your perspective. Yours is not the only opinion that concerns me, but for the moment, it offers much to consider. All I ever wanted for mortals was growth, transformation. Once, my brothers and sisters shared this goal. Some have forgotten themselves, giving into fatalism or tyranny. Others have succumbed to apathy. It brings me great sorrow that crisis is the only way to set the future in motion. Would that I could pass the responsibility of heralding your darkest hour to another. Never forget that trust and coordination between mortals brought you to this place. Your future is built on a foundation of hope, and you have laid the first stone.
Before this is over, it's my turn to ask the questions.
Ask. You are entitled to any answer that is mine to give.
You've had millennia to do this. Why now?
For several reasons. My strength was diminished after the Godhammer bomb, and assuming this form took incredible effort. With so many vying for control of the Deadfire, I also saw a ripe opportunity for mortals to cast aside their differences and stand together as one. They have never been more powerful, more capable. Because of this, the gods must justify their importance or be proven obsolete.
What happens after the wheel breaks?
The great work of the Ingwithans falls to ruin. Reincarnation as we know it will end. Souls which currently await new life in the beyond will be born into the world as normal, but their numbers will not replenish. Anything that dies will tarry in the void of the in-between, awaiting the motion of a wheel that no longer turns. Once the beyond has emptied, every birth will be hollow-born. Other maladies of the soul may follow and plague those who linger in life. Unless mortals work together to carve a new path, the essence of life will be trapped in the netherworld. Gods will starve. Eora will grow silent and cold.
How long until Eora is devoid of all life?
A generation or more. That much essence is already poised to flow into Eora. But unlike an hourglass, no amount of turning will compel the sand to reverse its course. Should you choose, you could lay down your burden and trust in your children's children to set matters right. That depends entirely on you. By your reckoning, there are still good years to come. By ours, time is short.
Why won't reincarnation just go back to how it was before the wheel?
When we tamed the cycle of reincarnation, we broke what had once functioned naturally and without intervention. The flow of essence will not normalize on its own. Essence will simply pool in the void of the in-between, never passing through Adra networks to the beyond. The dead will be left to wander in darkness, confusion, and sorrow.
Boudica says this as a test. Well, we're destined to fail.
Boudica is entitled to her opinion. If the intent of this test is to justify an uprising to come, that is more worrisome. The other gods must decide for themselves if mortals are ready to dictate their future. Should Boudica's tyranny prove the only alternative, mortals must prepare for a terrible conflict. Your perspective bridges eternity, Watcher. Many will look to you to mediate differences that could shake the very foundations of Eora.
That's so. What happens next?
I must attend to my final work now. I cannot delay any longer. You have carried a heavy burden across the Deadfire, Watcher. Before I go, I would rid you of it.
No sooner have Eota's words entered your mind than you hear one final, dissonant ring of the chime within you. Then silence. The note that formed when the pallid knight first addressed you in the beyond is now gone.
You are free now. As free as any of us can be.
Thank you.
Many will come to you for help in the years ahead. Animancers, priests, even the gods themselves. I have great hope for you, but always remember that your future is for you to decide. Use your freedom well.
Aethys squares himself to the machine. As you move to a safe distance, he draws his fist back and resumes his assault. The blows rain down with increased fervor, but the machine perseveres in spite of his efforts. Spreading his arms wide, Aethys draws power from the luminous Adra clustered around the valley. The energy courses through his body, limbs overflowing with intense light and waves of heat. He returns to his task, each strike bringing with it the sound of cracking stone and twisting metal, the flickering of luminous Audra across Ukaizo. As the ancient machine finally begins to succumb to his strength, so too does Aethys's body, built to withstand the passage of thousands of years. The great Audra statue has finally been pushed beyond its limits. Cracks appear along the hands, then race up the arms. Aethys does not slow his assault, but continues unabated. Its brass rings twisted. The machine spins erratically but withstands the relentless barrage. Aethys stands astride it and pummels the base of the machine. Soul energy begins to flare out from the machine's heart, warping the air with the intense heat. Aethys drives his right fist into the machine's center, the core of metal and Audra. The god lets out a deafening shout, something between a cry of anguish and a roar of exultation. You see Aethys's arm shatter upward from his hand through his elbow. A flash of light and heat bursts from the core, accompanied by a cacophony of destruction. The moment passes as Aethys's shout echoes throughout the valley. Your eyes begin to recover. The god's work is accomplished. The great machine of Ukaizo has been destroyed. The wheel has been unmade. As Aethys's voice fades, the enormity of what you've accomplished sinks in. You have confronted a god. You have rediscovered the ancient city where the wheel was forged, and you have seen the wheel shattered. What comes next is uncertain, but already the legend spreads of the Watcher who survived Andra's mortar and stood toe-to-toe with Aethys. On your recommendation, Aethys disperses his essence and that of the thousands of souls within him to centers of knowledge and learning around the world. Animancers, engineers, wizards, and scholars of all stripes make astounding breakthroughs in understanding and harnessing the phenomena that govern Aora. While some of these developments prove beneficial to Kith, others are decidedly less so. But such is the price of innovation. What remains to be seen is how, indeed whether, they will restore the cycle Aethys has broken. Reclaiming Ukaizo is both a symbolic and a practical victory for the Huana. The ancient city is a potent reminder of their people's ancient glory, and it promises to be a much more easily defensible capital, especially with the storm controls of Andra's Spire close at hand. The other tribes unite under the Kahanga and dedicate themselves to rebuilding Ukaizo and relearning its secrets. The Valian Trading Company continues its operations in Deadfire, though it is forced to renegotiate many of its contracts with the newly empowered Huana Crown. Company leadership finds that the new terms are much more favorable to the tribes than to their own interests in the region.
Finally. Good for them.
Due to these changes, the Valian Trading Company eventually withdraws most of its people from Deadfire. Though Castal convinces the Sangreta Mea Compressa to maintain nominal animancy operations in the region, they agree and put him in charge of them. Most of the Republics consider this an embarrassing demotion, though Castal himself relishes his smaller, quieter role. The Royal Deadfire Company is allowed to continue trading in the archipelago, though they are forced to submit most of their outposts and fortifications to Huana leadership. The storms across the Rawatayan mainland subside along with those of Andra's mortar. However, Rawatai regards this respite with a wary eye, ever mindful that the machinery at Andra's Spire remains under their foe's control. The battle at Andra's mortar leaves the fleet of the Principi Sen Patrena in shambles. Thus sundered, they fight among each other until they are little more than squabbling bands of pirates. They continue to harass unguarded merchant vessels, but they are fit for little more. Gone are the dreams of empire and the hunger for primacy. The mysterious deaths of Governor Clario and Storm Speaker Ikawa provoke hostilities between the Valian settlers and the Huawan residents. What starts with angry words escalates to retaliatory killings as each side blames the other. By the time anyone bothers to question the strange coincidences surrounding their deaths, including reports of a cloaked Omawi woman seen in both the port and the village, both sides have gone too far to turn back. The conflict eventually draws the attention of Queen Onekaza, who sends a contingent of warriors to drive the remaining Valians from the island. Port Mage becomes a cautionary tale for outsiders who would abuse the hospitality of the Huana tribes.
I didn't expect that to happen, honestly. I thought we left Port Maja in a rather good condition.
As the balance of power changes in Deadfire, so too does Nekataka transform. Though the Kahanga monarchy moves its new seat of government to Ukaizo, Nekataka continues to be a busy and important city. The pirates continue smuggling food into the gullet, and the Raparu embrace their benefactors, aiding and concealing their smuggling operations. Over time, the gullet becomes a hotbed of piracy. Ukaizo reveals more about the ancient art of water shaping than the guild could have hoped to learn in another century of work. With this new knowledge, water shapers across the archipelago wield the currents and bend the waves for the pleasure and benefit of the new Huana nation.
Oh, thank goodness that it worked out, that they don't have to imprison a dragon anymore.
Your brief encounter with Letharn proves deeply influential for the children of the Dawnstars. Plagued with nightmares and haunted by the deaths at Hesango, Letharn begins questioning his faith in Aethys. At first, his fellow Dawnstars chide him, but that changes as word of Aethys' deeds at Ukaizo spreads. After all, what business have they worshipping a god who denied his own legitimacy? The faith of the children of the Dawnstars fades, but their commitment to the people of Deadfire does not. They continue feeding, healing, and helping the neediest, just as they have for decades. It is no longer a holy mission, but it is a mission all the same. Ruanu, the chieftain of the Huana at Tikawara, dies mysteriously. The tribe finds his body washed up on the same beach where Anaharu challenged him to the trial of waves. Some blame Anaharu's vengeful spirit. Others see it as Ngati's final judgment. And a few speak of a strange man seen lingering in the village. The leaderless tribe eventually scatters. Some head to Nekataka, while others seek out the Wahaki. The dragon, Neraskirlas, no longer passes between Aora and the White Void, and the dead flow slowly breaks apart, exposing the temple long frozen within. Under Halfyorn's guidance, the Harbingers of Dusk resettle within Remergon's temple, vowing to forever protect it from the defiling touch of outsiders. Over time, the group becomes increasingly reclusive and fanatical, attacking any who dare approach their holy site.
Halfyon doesn't seem to be a good choice after all.
In besting the Beast of Winter, you earned the Death God's mercy rather than his enmity. The deity remains characteristically unforthcoming about his decision, and you're left to wonder whether in doing battle with him in the White Void, you somehow furthered his apocalyptic ambitions.
I did prove him that he is not that almighty, even for a god.
Once repaired, the Adra at the primal island of Kazuwari again pulses with the flow of soul essence between the here and the beyond. The feral life on the island flourishes, the jungles and veld growing ever wilder and resistant to settlement and exploration alike. The faces of the hunt continue to rule the Crucible and Gallowayne's, or rather, Tawamawai's name. The trials summoned by the statue grow deadlier with each season, until only those rare few willing to brave the gravest of dangers seek out the bloody ordeals of Kazuari. Like the other souls following in your wake, Muatu eventually yearns to move on to the beyond and the wheel. Stymied by Aethys' actions, however, he settles on returning to Kazuari, where he joins the choir of souls that echo throughout the Crucible. Hundreds of Kith, and no small number of Wilder and Primordials, flee from the Black Isle, their minds a confused collection of inconsistent and contradictory memories. Each escapee bears knowledge that was once lost, and agents of the Hand Occult across Aora worked tirelessly in the years that followed to hunt down and end these fugitives. They find far fewer than they hope. Released from their bondage to the sightless eye, the Vithrak of the Halls Obscured abandon the Black Isle and resettle in the deepest and darkest recesses of the ruins beneath Nekataka. Sisak and his colony remain secretive and isolated, however, rarely interacting with those Kith crawling about in the sunlight above. Slain by your hand, the Titan of Wal poses little further threat to Aora. As the corpse decays, it putrefies into a massive nest of hungry fungal monstrosities. Vessels that anchor off the shores of the Black Isles tend to go missing, only to turn up shipwrecked months or even years later against distant shores. With time, the body collapses upon itself, and the Black Isles finally implode. Infrequent but persistent rumors speak of an island overrun by primordial spore creatures and ruled by a roughly Kith-shaped entity, more fungus than not. A creature well practiced at the most potent wizardry. No sailor or explorer, however, can furnish reliable charts to this fabled Isle of Decay. Though your adventures alter the destiny of Aora and the balance of power in Deadfire, they also leave a lasting mark on those who travel at your side. Your companions find themselves changed, in ways both big and small. In the days sailing back from Ukaizo, Adair finds himself disillusioned with all gods, his own above all. Where the gods have touched Deadfire, he sees only destruction, loss, and emptiness. He casts off all symbols of Aethys, and even begins refusing to use his name. Ultimately, he chooses to remain with you on the Defiant, knowing if any mortal is to have the final word in a conflict with the gods, it will be the Watcher of Cadnua.
That makes my heart warm. It's good to have a friend that will travel with you. The literal end of the earth, and to defeat the gods. And now all of the gods will starve.
Shodi is not a priestess who understands the meaning of subtlety. As such, she makes her girlish crush on Adair painfully obvious from the moment she first sets eyes on the strapping fighter. Early in your travels, Adair appears discomforted by her persistent flirting. He often grimaces when she sidles up to him, and he takes endless pains to keep their conversations terse and to the point. But after a little smoothing on your part to nudge them in the right direction, Adair makes an effort to view Shodi with an open mind. And Shodi begins teasing the veteran fighter in a more companionable and less amorous manner. After saving each other's hides a couple times and sharing more than a few laughs, the two form an easy, and you suspect, lifelong friendship. Seemingly lit with an inner glow, Shodi takes to a new life of mission work with gusto. She still is committed to shepherding souls forgone, but having realigned her goals with that of her fellow Dawnstars, she now endeavors to help the living as much as the dead. As you travel the Deadfire, you find her sleeping better and laughing more often. when the time comes for her to return to her temple in Nekataka, it's with a clear wistfulness and much lip-biting on her part. She leaves you with her sickle and a hastily scrawled note. It reads, "A keepsake from a path once walked. Remember me, Watcher, for I will forever dream of you."
She's so sweet as well. Good for her.
If Aloth has learned one thing from your adventures, it is that the forces shaping the world are vaster and more complex than he had ever imagined, and they are far beyond anyone's power to control. Thus, it is with great relief that he abandons his labors against the Leaden Key. Without Theus at the helm, it will crumble in its own time. The best he can do is stand back and allow it to happen. You let Romaro go, and the former pirate ostensibly set sail for the trade lanes of the Eastern Reach, the Edier Empire, Old Valia, and the Republics. For the remainder of your time together, Seraphin seems, if not exactly happy, at least contented with the outcome of your confrontation with his former mentor at Sayuka. And yet, when the two of you part, Seraphin seems emboldened, invigorated by a new sense of purpose. He buys you a drink, toasts to the Deadfire, says, "Let's see if we can make something worth a shit out of what's left of these Principe swabs," and sets sail the next morning. In the years to follow, rumors occasionally reach you of the Blue Orland pirate of the Deadfire, a privateer captain as keen to free slaves or fight foreign influence as he is to plunder and pillage.
And he's gonna be a nightmare of all the slavers throughout the Deadfire, until none is left.
After reporting back to her superiors for the Watcher's actions against the Valian Trading Company, Pallegina is rewarded with reassignment home to the Valian Republics. She spends the next several years as the head of the household guard for the Duke of Ancenze. In this role, she is often lauded for her courage and loyalty. Even with all of the praise, there are still times when she cannot help but feel she could have had more influence on what transpired in the Deadfire.
She's too loyal for her own good, and there's nothing we could have done about it.
Pallegina renews her relationship with Giacomo, corresponding with him regularly, and even meeting with the old Animenser once or twice a year. Though she does not understand the intricate details of his research, she reads his letters and responds with great enthusiasm. Her brothers, and even the dukes themselves, note that Pallegina's demeanor is always warmer on the days when she receives a letter. Rumors even spread that some of the brothers have seen her smile. Pleased with the Navy's conduct throughout the Deadfire campaign, Maya returns to active duty. She can find a free drink and a sharp salute anywhere she goes in Rawatayan territory. In recognition of her performance, the Navy attempts to give Maya less strenuous work. She flatly refuses, throwing herself into the fray whenever she can. Her rifle never has time to cool.
My God, I'm glad it worked out for her. It's sad that we have to part ways, but I understand why it had to happen.
Though Maya's covert assignment in the Deadfire is considered a success, few claim knowledge of it or openly congratulate her. She receives no praise beyond knowing glances or the occasional raised tankard from her countrymen. She never responds. She looks forward to seeing her brother again. So does Ashiza.
She doesn't cut people, no. She makes them full of holes with her acrobus.
The discovery of Ukaizo doesn't bring Takehu the answers that he sought, but this proves only a minor setback. Merely knowing that Ngati's chosen landed on the island ignites something in the Huana tribes. A fervent desire to recover the past and let history illuminate the way forward. Tekehu rides this momentum, leading by example and teaching his people to rely on each other instead of on omens. His message is an upheaval of norms, but it's as embraced and beloved as he is.
I'm so glad that even after all those talks about sex with him, he still learned something.
As your paths diverge, Tekehu expresses remorse that you did not have more time to explore your connection. The future is uncertain, but the embrace you share at parting is full of promise. Your pursuit of Aethys and your journey to Ukaizo signal the end of forces that have shaped the lives of Kith and the course of nations. The cycle of reincarnation has been broken. The storms of Andra's mortar have calmed. Yet each ending promises a new beginning. As the sun rises over Ukaizo, Kith turn their gaze eastward, wondering at what lies beyond, and at the world they will fashion for themselves. As the Watcher of Cadnua and the former Herald of Bareth, you return to your ship and begin the long journey home. You hope for calm weather.